All right, get ready, because today we are going to deep dive into Anastasia and the Ringing Cedars.
Oh, cool.
I know, right? You wanted this one.
Right.
You wanted to understand this book about this woman,
Yeah.
Anastasia,
Yeah.
living out in the Siberian taiga
Uh-huh.
with, I guess, some pretty wild abilities. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
We got excerpts from the book. We've got background on the author Vladimir Megré.
Right?
And we've even got some reactions, from people who have read it.
Yeah, so we've got a lot to go off of.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
So you ready to dive in and see what we can learn about this whole thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I guess the first thing to note is the story, it takes place in a real place.
Right, right.
Siberian taiga.
Yeah.
But then it throws in these kind of fantastical elements.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it creates this, I don't know, this like mystical realism that kind of draws readers in, or at least it seems to.
Yeah, it's definitely effective that way. Like you go in knowing it's going to be kind of out there.
Yeah.
But it's also grounded in, a real setting, so it's not totally unbelievable, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Okay, so let's let's get into like the basic story. So we have Vladimir Megré, the author,
Right.
who's a Siberian entrepreneur, and he runs into Anastasia or encounters her during a trading expedition
Okay.
down the Ob River.
Uh-huh.
Now, this wasn't, just a random trip for him, though. He was already kind of into this folklore
Right.
surrounding ringing cedars.
Oh.
Those trees said to have special properties, all that.
So he was kind of seeking them out.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
That's where he stumbles upon Anastasia,
Okay.
who's living this, completely off-grid, in nature, super connected to nature kind of life.
It's pretty wild when you think about it, right? Like this successful businessman.
Yeah.
You'd think he'd be all about the material world.
Right.
But then he goes into this remote wilderness looking for these mystical trees. I mean, it's a great setup for a story.
Right. Yeah. And it's almost like a classic fish out of water scenario, right?
Totally.
And she, wastes no time challenging his worldview, from what I'm reading in the excerpts here.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, for example, she tells him that women in the big land, meaning cities and modern society,
Okay.
they don't understand the real value of, even a piece of cedar wood.
Oh, interesting.
thing.
So right away, she's setting up this contrast between
Yes.
modern values and this more, I guess, ancient way of being.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And that's, I guess that's kind of where her claims about, having these psychic abilities kind of come in.
Oh, okay. So what's she saying?
We're talking about remote viewing, healing, telepathy, perfect memory.
Oh, yeah, the whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards.
Okay.
And she attributes it all to her, Vedic lineage, which, I don't know, maybe some people don't know.
Right. It might be helpful to, give a little context
Yeah,
for those who
yeah.
aren't familiar.
Yeah, so Vedic refers to this spiritual tradition
Okay.
from ancient India.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of different interpretations and even debate about how it's used today and the historical accuracy and all of that.
Too complicated.
Yeah, but in the context of Anastasia's story, it seems to represent this kind of ancient wisdom
Okay.
that modern society has lost.
I see.
You know?
So it's like she's tapping into something that's been forgotten.
Exactly. And that seems to be a big part of why people are drawn to this book,
Yeah, I can see that. Like the idea that there's this lost knowledge out there, it's pretty intriguing.
Right?
Makes you wonder what if.
Absolutely. And even some people just totally accept, everything she says is fact.
Really?
Yeah, we have some reviews here, and this one guy, Dr. Sub Coffee's like, yep, I believe it.
Okay.
And then others, they kind of focus more on the spiritual side,
Yeah.
or the symbolic aspects of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like this Gene Munzer, they're more interested in the message about reconnecting with nature,
Okay.
and our own potential as humans.
So even if they don't buy into the more fantastical stuff, they
Yeah.
still find meaning in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even those who might be skeptical of all the, the crazy stuff,
Right.
they're still drawn to it.
I wonder why that is.
That's a good question. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe it's because it speaks to something deeper, like a longing that a lot of us feel like we've lost something important in all this progress and technology. So maybe Anastasia's story, whether you take it literally or not,
Right.
it offers a different way of being, one that's more, harmonious with nature.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what people are searching for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And of course, a key part of that whole vision are the ringing cedars.
Mm.
The trees, right?
The trees, yeah.
We should probably explain what a dacha is, though, since that term comes up a lot when she talks about the trees.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Just so everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, so a dacha is basically, it's a Russian country house or cottage.
Oh, right.
And usually they've got a garden. And Anastasia, she connects the ringing cedars with the idea of dachas, like they're somehow essential to our well-being.
Interesting.
So anyway, these ringing cedars,
Right.
they're depicted as having all these, energy accumulating properties.
Mm-hmm.
And she claims they actually ring when they get old enough, like they're ready to share their energy with the world.
Okay.
She also makes some pretty bold claims about their healing abilities.
Like what?
Like she says they can cure any disease, even AIDS.
Wow. Okay.
And she even says that the wood from the trees has all this energy, like more than any power source we've ever created.
That's a lot to take in.
It is, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, for someone coming at this from a scientific perspective,
Yeah.
it'd be pretty hard to swallow.
Okay. Yeah. I bet Megré was pretty skeptical at that point.
Oh, for sure. And you can definitely see that tension in the book. He's trying to reconcile all this with what he knows about the world.
Yeah.
But he's clearly intrigued, too.
Of course.
And as the story goes on, it's like he's opening himself to the possibility that maybe there's more to reality than he thought.
I think a lot of us can relate to that, right? We all have our own beliefs.
Right.
But then something comes along that makes you question everything.
Exactly. It's like, what if there is more to the story?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this this narrative, this clash between, I guess, like the modern world and the ancient world.
Right.
These claims about psychic abilities and powerful trees.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Anastasia herself? Like, what do we actually know about her from all this?
That's where things get interesting, right? She's portrayed as this, like, incredibly self-sufficient woman
Okay.
living in harmony with nature. Like, she even talks about being able to communicate with plants and animals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like understanding their language.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
Okay.
And she's not afraid to criticize, the modern world, especially our reliance on technology. Like, she claims vehicles are, like, a major source of environmental harm.
Oh, wow.
But she's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
She offers solutions to,
Like what?
like these Dasha soil boxes that you can put in your car to purify the air.
So it's like she's pointing out a problem,
Right.
but then also giving like a very specific way to fix it.
Exactly. And it ties back to the idea of dachas. Like, they're not just gardens. They're like spaces of healing
Okay.
and reconnecting with nature.
Interesting.
And she thinks that's really important for our well-being.
Uh-huh. So she's not just talking about planting trees. She's talking about cultivating like a connection.
Exactly. It's about intentionality, about being mindful of our actions
Okay.
and how they affect the world around us.
And she thinks that's the key to like reaching our full potential as humans. But then there's also this kind of darker side to it all, right? This space of time of the dark forces she talks about.
Yeah, that gets a little spooky.
Yeah, it does.
It's like she's talking about all the negative energy from human thoughts and actions and how it like builds up and influences stuff in the world, like environmental problems and social unrest.
So it's not just about being good to nature. It's also about like facing the darkness within ourselves.
Exactly. It's like our inner world affects the outer world.
Right. And I think that's going to be a big theme as we keep going. So we should probably stop here for now.
Okay. Yeah.
And just like, take a minute.
Yeah.
What are your like initial thoughts so far? What's like sticking out to you?
Well, I don't know. It's a lot to process, But I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious to see where she goes with all this,
Yeah, me too.
especially this whole dark forces thing.
Yeah, that's a little spooky.
It is.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
All right.
It's like, yeah, this whole light and darkness thing.
Right.
It's weird because she doesn't present it like some, battle with like demons or whatever. She says the dark forces, like, they come from us.
Oh, so it's like we're responsible?
Yeah, like for the state of the world.
Huh?
Not just from our actions, but like from our thoughts too.
That's a lot to take in.
It is, right? Like every thought matters.
Right.
She even says that the book, this book we're reading, it's supposed to like counteract those dark forces.
Oh, wow.
Like it's some kind of, I don't know, literary alchemy or something.
Literary alchemy. What does that even mean?
Well, she's saying like the book has these specific words and phrases
Okay.
that are like formulated to awaken good feelings.
So it's not just the information in the book.
Yeah.
It's like the energy of the words themselves.
Exactly. Like language has a vibration that can like change your consciousness.
So it's almost like she's created like a sacred space within the book.
Yeah, for the reader to connect with the message.
Wow. That's fascinating. You know, it makes you think about like the power of words.
Yeah, right. Like there might be more to them than we realize.
Definitely. And it's not just words either. She also talks a lot about dreams.
Dream.
Yeah, dreams. She says she dreamed about Megré writing the book,
Whoa.
about it being successful,
Huh.
and even like about its impact on the world.
So it's like she's saying like dreams can show us the future or something.
Well, not exactly the future, but maybe like a deeper reality or something.
Okay.
Like where we can connect with, I don't know, like a creative force or something.
That's kind of trippy.
It is, right?
Yeah.
She even says that. Like dreams coming true is more common than we think.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like we probably don't pay attention to all the little ways our dreams show up in our lives.
Exactly.
I wonder if we're missing out on something by dismissing our dreams as, just random nonsense.
Right. And she's not just talking about like passive dreaming.
Okay.
She says we can train our minds to have more like vivid and meaningful dreams.
So it's like a skill you can develop.
Yeah, like a muscle you can exercise.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It is, right. And this idea that she's talking about, like, it connects with what a lot of mystics and spiritual teachers have been saying for centuries.
Oh, how so?
Well, they all talk about how like this waking reality we experience,
Yeah.
it's just one level of like a bigger multi-dimensional reality.
Okay.
And that we can like tap into that bigger reality
Right.
through our thoughts and emotions and our intentions.
So it's like we have more power than we realize.
Exactly. And this brings us back to the ringing cedars.
The trees.
Yeah. She sees them as more than just trees. It's like they're antennas or something
Antennas for what?
for connecting us to this bigger energy field. And remember those Joshua soil boxes she talks
The
about?
ones for cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those connect back to the trees too.
Really? How so?
Well, it's like by bringing a piece of that dacha energy
right.
into our, technological world, we can like restore balance.
So it's like we can benefit from the trees, but we also have a responsibility to take care of them.
Exactly. And that's like a big part of a lot of environmental movements today, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's about recognizing that we're all connected, like humans and nature.
Right. And she even claims to be able to like talk to plants and animals, like understand their needs.
Really? So it's like more than just observing them.
Yeah, it's like a deeper communication.
That's pretty wild.
It is, right? And she even says she can see this interconnectedness like as an energy field.
An energy field.
Yeah, she calls it a bluish luminescence.
A bluish luminescence. Okay.
And she says it's coming from the earth. And she can like zoom in on specific places. Yeah, like with her mind.
And see
people's thoughts and emotions.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like she has psychic Google Earth.
I guess you can say that, yeah.
Okay, now that's a lot.
It is, right.
Right.
But even if you don't take it literally,
Right.
it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've got this story
Yeah.
with, a lot of pretty far out stuff.
Right.
But what about Megré, the author?
Oh, yeah. What about him? Like, how does he fit into all of this? Like,
Yeah.
how does he react to all of this?
Well, that's part of what makes the book so interesting, You could see him, like, struggling with his own skepticism, trying to make sense of it all.
Right, because he's a businessman.
Yeah, he's got that rational mind.
Right.
But he's obviously drawn to Anastasia, too.
Oh, of course.
And it's, I don't know, it's like that classic battle between head and heart.
I get it.
Like, do you trust your gut or do you stick with logic?
Yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
Right. So what happened, like, does he come around to her way of thinking?
Well, it seems like she's deliberately pushing him,
Pushing him how?
like challenging him to think bigger, to consider that maybe there's more to reality than what he's always believed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's not just about him. It's like she's speaking to all of us,
Oh.
like inviting us to question our assumptions
Right.
and see the world differently.
That makes sense. And, speaking of seeing the world differently, one thing that stuck out to me was Anastasia's views on money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like she seems to really dislike it.
Really?
Yeah, she connects it directly to those dark forces we were talking about.
So money is bad.
Well, it doesn't say it's inherently bad, but she thinks the pursuit of wealth, it can like lead us astray from our true purpose.
I see.
She even says that people who refuse to pay for those Dacia soil boxes for their cars, they'll face financial ruin.
Whoa, hold on. Seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
That's a pretty strong statement.
It is, right. Like, there are consequences for not aligning with, her vision of a good life.
It's almost like she's saying there's, like, karma involved.
Right, exactly. Like, you reap what you sow.
So what does she think we should be focused on instead of money?
Well, she talks a lot about spiritual growth and connection to nature. Like, those are the real treasures.
So it's about, like, shifting our priorities.
Exactly. And this connects back to that idea of intentionality. Our thoughts and actions have a ripple effect. They don't just affect us. They affect everyone and everything.
And she specifically mentions, like, negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, those can actually pollute the planet.
Right. Like, it's not just about what we do. It's about how we think.
So they have to be mindful of our thoughts, too.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding negativity. It's also about cultivating positive emotions.
Like love and gratitude and joy.
Exactly. Remember that image she described of the sun acting like a mirror, reflecting the love energy back to Earth?
Oh, yeah.
It's like our love literally has the power to light up the world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is, right? And she really believes that.
Okay, so love is the key.
Yeah, love is the most powerful force there is.
To, like, unlocking our potential and in healing the world.
Exactly. And she talks about how this plays out in our relationships, raising children, building communities.
Right.
Like, it all comes back to love.
And, of course, to nature.
Of course. She's all about connecting with nature.
Right. It's like these nature holds the answers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are starting to feel that way too,
Definitely. Like, there's this growing awareness of, like, sustainability and living in harmony with the planet.
Right, and maybe that's why Anastasia's story is resonating with so many people.
Yeah, maybe she's, like, tapping into something that we're all starting to realize.
Maybe so, but there's something else,
Oh, what's that?
Well, she also talks about meeting, like, beings from another planet.
Wait, what? Aliens?
Yeah, aliens. She says she communicated with them telepathically.
Whoa, hold on. I don't remember that from the book.
Yeah, it's in there. And she says they have advanced technology and, like, a deep understanding of the universe.
So what are they doing here?
Well, she doesn't go into a lot of detail, but she says they're watching us.
Watching us?
Yeah, like observing humanity.
Okay.
And maybe even influencing events on Earth.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It is, right. It's like she's opening up a whole new can of worms with this alien stuff.
It definitely adds another layer to the story. Like, I mean, what is our place in the cosmos?
Right. And are we really alone?
Right.
Big questions.
Big questions, yeah. But I guess that's kind of the point, right?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like she's constantly challenging us to question what we think we know. To be open to the unknown.
Yeah, I see that. It's like she's saying, like, don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've gone from dreams to aliens to the power of love.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. But before we get to the final part of this deep dive, let's pause for a second and, just reflect. What are your thoughts so far? What's resonating with you? Any big questions bubbling up? Okay, so we're back. Ready to wrap up this whole deep dive into Anastasia and the Reigning Cedars.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
It is
lots to unpack.
Definitely. One of the things that I keep thinking about is this whole idea of, like, personal responsibility,
Oh, right, like what we were talking about before.
Yeah, like, it's not just about what we do, but our thoughts and intentions, too.
Right, because she's saying that negativity, like, it has a real impact.
Right, like it could actually contribute to all these problems in the world.
Like environmental destruction and social unrest, all that.
Exactly. Remember that whole space of time of the dark forces thing?
Oh, yeah, that was a little intense.
Yeah, it was. But then, she also offers this counterpoint, right?
Okay, what's that?
Love.
Love.
Yeah, love. Like, that's the ultimate antidote to all the darkness.
Okay, so, like, love conquers all.
Well, I mean, she basically says that, yeah,
Okay.
like it can heal us and create a better world.
So it's not just about romantic love.
No, no, it's about all kinds of love.
Okay.
Compassion,
Yeah.
kindness, gratitude,
Right.
joy,
Right.
all of that.
So it's like radiating positivity
Exactly,
just to
exactly.
counteract the negativity.
And she thinks that these positive emotions, they actually have like a ripple effect.
A ripple effect.
Yeah, they go out and influence the world around us.
Interesting. So it's like our own happiness can actually make the world a better place.
That's what she's saying, yeah.
Huh. What was that image she used? The one about the sun?
Oh, yeah, yeah. She talks about the sun acting like a mirror, reflecting the love energy back to Earth.
Right. So it's like we're sending out love and then the universe is sending it right back to us.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And she also talks a lot about, how important it is to cultivate those positive emotions.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, she says it's about, being mindful of our thoughts, having good relationships,
Right.
creating a more compassionate world.
So it's like an inside-out approach.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Mm.
And she really emphasizes the importance of children,
Kids.
Yeah. She thinks they're super sensitive to, like, all these energies,
Oh,
and that it's really important to raise them in a loving environment surrounded by nature.
so it's about giving them the best possible foundation.
Exactly, exactly. And speaking of, like, potential, she also talks about the human brain.
The brain.
Yeah, she thinks that we're only using a tiny bit of its power.
Really?
Yeah,
So like we have all these untapped abilities.
that's what she's saying, yeah.
And how do we tap into them?
Well, she mentions things like meditation and visualization,
Okay.
and of course, connecting with nature.
Always back to nature.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting, right? Even if you don't believe everything she says,
right.
it makes you think.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what if we really do have all this potential
Hmm.
just waiting to be unlocked?
Right, exactly. I mean, maybe she's right. Maybe we're on the verge of like a whole new stage of evolution.
Yeah, and maybe, like, we need to change our thinking, to get there.
Maybe so. And that's what I appreciate about this whole Anastasia thing.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like it forces you to question your assumption,
Yeah.
to consider different perspectives.
Right. Like, even if you don't agree with everything,
Mm.
it's still valuable to, like, engage with these ideas.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, there are some really important takeaways here.
Right, like what?
Well, like the importance of personal responsibility,
Right.
the power of love, connecting with nature,
Right, all that stuff.
and the potential of the human mind, like we were just talking about.
It's like she's offering a different way of looking at the world.
Yeah, a more, I don't know, a more holistic way.
Yeah, I like that. A more holistic way.
And, a lot of people are resonating with that, you know?
Definitely.
I feel like she's tapping into something that we're all kind of searching for.
Right, like a deeper meaning, a connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. So I guess, like, even if you take out all the fantastical stuff,
Right,
there's still a really powerful message there.
absolutely. So I guess as we wrap up this whole deep dive, what are your, like, final thoughts? What do you take away from all of this?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's like, it's hard to put into words,
Yeah,
But I guess for me, it's a reminder that, like, even the craziest stories can teach us something.
yeah.
They can make us think differently about the world,
Right.
and maybe even inspire us to change.
I agree. And I think it's a good reminder that we all have the power to make a difference,
Yeah, totally.
even in small ways.
Right. Every little bit counts.
Exactly. So, I guess that's it for our deep dive into Anastasia and the Ringing Cedars.
Wow, that went by fast.
It did.
It's like we just scratched the surface,
I know, right? There's so much more we could explore.
Definitely.
But I think this is a good place to leave it for now.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll inspire some people to check out the book for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And if you do, let us know what you think.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
And until next time, keep those minds open and those hearts full of love.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, if thoughts have power, what kind of world are we creating with ours?